Hermes, draw near, and to my prayer incline, in arts gymnastic and in fraud divine.
Dire weapon of the tongue which men revere, be present, Hermes, and thyself plant here.
Welcome to Third Eye Bind, Episode 12, The Devil. Hi, I'm Laura.
And I'm Kaitlyn.
And welcome to Third Eye Bind.
Episode 12, The Devil. If you love Third Eye Bind, we would love for you to like, subscribe, leave us a review, follow us on Instagram at Third Eye Bind Pod, and if you really love us, join our Patreon, patreon.com/Third Eye Bind.
Yes.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
I'm really curious what card we're going to pull today.
I mean, if we pull the Devil card, is that too on the nose?
Perhaps. Ooh, we're channeling right now. Perhaps. This is why we're white for this episode. I knew they were going to jump in.
We're like the angel and devil on your shoulder.
Cut the deck. Okay. Okay.
What is it?
You know what? It's actually quite perfect. I pulled the Emperor, and the Emperor is ruled by Capricorn. And Capricorn, the sea goat, a goat creature, is also associated with the devil.
Yeah.
And the Emperor is all about cultivating foundations that we are able to ground into so that we can explore and expand upon our life experiences while having something that we can fall back upon. And the devil is an invitation to spend time in the underworld, spend time exploring our desires, spend time in the darkness, under the shadows of the moon, playing and having fun. And the Emperor allows us that solid foundation to come back to so that we don't get too lost in the underworld, because the devil will certainly invite you to come and play, but he's not going to tell you when you've had enough. And the Emperor offers that balance of, okay, Persephone, it's time to come back to the surface for spring. I love this card. Also, it's David Bowie, which we love.
We love David Bowie.
Oh, I really like the quote that we have here too, the lyric. We could steal time just for one day. We can be heroes forever and ever. I don't know, this like timeless energy is very like devil too.
It is.
I love that. That's a good pull.
That is an interesting, so okay. I don't know shit about the Bible. I was not brought up with church, religion, anything. So the devil's always been a really elusive thing to me. Like, I don't have a foundation for like knowing what the fuck it is. So I've done research a little bit over the years and last night. And I'm going to try and like tell you, someone who does have experience with church and religion, and that's a big part of your practice. I'm going to try to like explain the devil story to you, okay?
Give it to me.
Okay. So and then this may be completely fucking wrong, okay? So there's God, right? And there's like angels. And like the hottest angel of them all was Lucifer.
Absolutely. But Michael is also a babe.
Okay. Okay. Pics, please. I have no context for any of this. I'm literally thinking of Michelangelo from Ninja Turtles right now. Okay. Those are like how I pictured angels, right? Like they're Ninja Turtles. They like pizza. Okay. So Lucifer likes pizza, is super hot. Okay. And so, like, remember the whole Adam and Eve thing? So, like, I don't know in what context that happened in the Bible, but so basically, I think God was like, hey, Lucifer, like, you need to bow down to these humans and, like, they're the shit, right? And Lucifer was like, fuck no, they're not. What is this? No, I don't want to. I'm a fucking angel. So then God was like, nah, and like sent him to hell, or he fell because he wanted to have a good time and was confident and hot. So so that's like Lucifer's. And then, like, does Lucifer become the devil after he falls, or is the devil a separate construct that got woven into the Lucifer lore? Is my question for you.
Okay, so Lucifer's fall, my understanding, is not so much that he was like, fuck no, I'm not going to bow to these humans.
Okay.
He was like, these humans get to experience the pleasures of the flesh.
Right.
Of which I say to you, fuck yes.
A fuck yes.
And there were some other angels that were like, well, Lucifer's fucking with these humans. We want to fuck around too. That shit looks like fun. The daughters of man are all babes. We want in on this. And so this was like the basis for the fall, because they didn't want to listen to God, who was like, you need to like back off and be like this ominous celestial being. They were like, no, we want to be in on that.
Oh, got it.
And so...
Okay.
Then comes this concept of the Watchers, which are all of these different fallen angels, and Lucifer is like their leader. Here's the thing about the serpent in the garden, because I spend a lot of time researching the serpent. I'm actually wearing a little serpent belt today.
Love that.
The story of Genesis chronologically happened before the fall of Lucifer.
So there's actually no connection.
So there's no connection, but the serpent was associated with divinely feminine goddesses pre-Christianity. And so I feel like the story of Genesis is the story of the demonization of the divine feminine. Of the goddess. Right. By using her own symbol, she came to her fate, which was, what is it, like being evicted from the garden. And I also kind of, but here's the thing, like God created everything according to Christianity. God created everything, which also means that like God created evil just as much as God created good. Right. And the Hebrew word for Satan simply means adversary, not adversary of God, just like a challenger, somebody who's there to shake shit up, trickster energy, push boundaries. The association of Lucifer with the devil is something that, from my understanding, developed later.
Right. I think that's what I
like
researched
post-Christianity. That's when you start getting those like fires of hell type of energy and the demonization of the goat.
Yeah.
That goat-like horned figure, which again is like a pagan thing. All over the world, the horned god, the goat at the crossroads is a very powerful spirit. So of course they're like, that's bad.
It's... I also read that, okay, I have to shout out this other podcast that I did listen to. It's called, Seven Heads, 10 Horns.
Ooh.
It is a history of the devil podcast. That's what it's about. Yeah. And it's so good.
Okay.
So I was able to get a lot out of it, not knowing very much. And a point that they made was the devil coming out of like a dualist view of spirituality, like it needs to be black or white. So let's create something that's just completely evil to, in my opinion, sort of throw blame on, and to sort of strengthen the cult-like aspects of their religion. I mean, a scapegoat,
if you will.
Yeah, it's a symbol of, disobeying Christianity.
Yes.
So it's real scary. Made it real scary.
That's interesting how the devil becomes a symbol of disobeying Christianity, when really, like, the devil can be those moments where you act out of alignment with yourself.
Right.
What's normal and expected for yourself. And it's not so much a disobeying of the overlords. But that's an interesting concept, a way to put it.
Yeah. And these dudes are like scholar. Like they're like, they come from like they went to school. Historian. You know, like they know what the fuck they're talking
Degrees
about.
and shit.
For things that are recorded.
Yeah.
You know, like they know what's been recorded and what hasn't. But it's just sort of like anything that's not Christian is evil, right? Like what?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's just, so to me growing up, I was just, no one like told me, like I was aware that evil is real, but the devil has never really been a part of my personal practice because I don't come from a religious background. And it's not a part of paganism or Celtic. I mean, evil is, but not the devil specifically. Right. That's a Christian construct. So it's really interesting to me how I'm like, okay, I know like there's evil, but I don't really believe in a big bad like devil. But devil energy, it's just interesting to me how, because of our experiences and our beliefs, because they're all so different, how the devil and evil show up in our own practices of witchcraft. Because there are some people like that are, I'm sure, very extreme Satanists where they actually do believe in Satan as a deity and worship that deity. But like, for instance, the Church of the Satanic Temple is not, they don't believe in Satan as a deity. That's a huge misconception. They're actually, they're like trolls, basically. They're trolling
They're like
Christianity.
Awesome trolls.
They're awesome trolls. They're doing things that nobody else is doing for
the Lord's
our rights. They're doing the Lord's work. So, and they're basically a symbol for, you know, the ego and not indulgence, individuality. That's sort of what their dogma is about. It's not about Satan as a...
It's like bodily autonomy and like your free will and
So just to mention that if anyone out there is sort of afraid of the Satanic Temple or if they're, you know, people tell you otherwise, it's really not. And there's actually a really good documentary about it. And I don't remember the name
I watched
of it.
it. Yeah, we'll link it.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But it's I guess I'm sort of trying to categorize where evil stands within my belief system because I'm not a Christian or a Catholic, so you know, I'm like, well,
evil to me is white Jesus.
Yeah. Well, evil to me is Christianity. That's the thing is like religion to me is the evil and also humans are evil. So it's like
we are all capable.
We're all capable of that
of being terrible.
Yes, of being terrible, and we don't live in a dualistic world that does not and that's where we get into the whole like love and light bullshit and all this thing because that's almost a dualistic belief. It
is. It's totally binary.
It's just all light. It's like extreme lightness.
And it's just not realistic.
It's not realistic. We're all very fluid and we're not perfect and we're not
messy.
We're messy and energy is messy and it's chaotic and then it can be calm and I mean the human urge to be dualistic and to see things as one thing, put things into categories is just how we're wired.
Yeah, we love to like label and box things.
Yeah. And then to not have answers or to not have that organization is scary to a lot of us.
So then we make stuff up
like
to fill
devil.
in the blanks. Exactly.
So, and it's just throwing... I forgot if this was on that podcast I mentioned or not, but they were saying, someone used the phrase, attaching Christian baggage to everything. Attaching baggage to the pagan horned gods.
Exactly.
Which are not symbols of the devil or evil. They're
fertility.
Typically fertility and masculine divine symbols.
Yeah, getting shit done.
They're just...
action, magician.
Also, like, they're animals and they have horns. Like, okay.
Mystical.
So what?
Yeah.
Animals have tails. Why is a tailed animal not the evil one? Because Christians thought, the horns. And then they created that imagery to scare people.
Yeah. Well, horned spirits are typically very powerful.
Yeah.
And strong.
And masculine.
And when you convince people that it's part of the whole like conversion
Yes.
process,
The assimilation
ritual
process.
of conversion. If you convince enough people that this spirit who is able to not only protect them, but to help them fight back is so fucking evil and you're going to be banished to the fires of hell for all eternity, you scare people away from that which offers them the greatest level of assistance in the resistance. And so I do believe that like the Christian church's demonization of horned spirits and goats and the crossroads is all a part of the white Jesus agenda of brainwashing people into like subscribing to puritanical values.
Right.
And like, what are your options? Especially when conversion started, it was like, choose this or death. Like,
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other pressures added to that.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing.
We're doing an episode about religion and cults.
There's a lot. Yeah, it all sort of goes together. It's
growing up, I definitely experienced, and I have like vivid memories of like this one priest in particular whose name I won't say. I have vivid memories of this dude standing at the pulpit, and I remember the like flickering light of the candle just like on his fucking face as he's going rah 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 about the fires of Gehenna and Satan is here trying to tempt you. And I was like, I don't know. You're kind of like, this looks like fun.
yeah.
The lighting, the energy, I might be interested. I got in trouble for wearing Converse to church that had flames on the bottoms. My mom was like, Kate, you can't wear the fires of hell on your shoes to church.
Holy
I'm like, but
shit.
Mom, I'm trying to make a statement.
Right? Don't tempt me with a good time, Satan.
Right? And honestly, like, I was kind of afraid of the devil for a long time until I started rewiring myself and undoing a lot of the damage that growing up within the Catholic Church caused, and working with Lucifer as a spirit, Lucifer, the fallen angel, not necessarily Satan, is really liberating. Working with Lucifer teaches us how, or at least me personally, teaches me how to get in touch with the pleasures of the flesh as my birthright, as a human on planet Earth. Like, we were born to experience pleasure, and puritanical Christianity literally beats that out of you.
Yeah.
And the devil is like, come play. This is what your bodies are for.
What else are we here for if to not experience the pleasures of life? Yes. I don't understand that.
Like, pleasures don't just have to be sexual or sensual. I'm thinking again of like David Bowie and like glamour magic and the ways we adorn ourselves. Like, that is
like
part of the
lipstick
pleasures of the
evil,
flesh.
Right?
Yes.
Like,
and the devil wants us to play with all of that. The devil wants us to experience our personal magic as humans in these crazy, these wild vessels that somehow we ended up in. He wants us to tap into all of that energy and really enjoy it. Spend some time in his underworld and discover the darkness in ourselves and how that darkness can serve us well.
right.
He comes to me a lot in dreams. He's definitely like got that like dark, sultry, dark eyes, like many leather-bound books type of energy about him.
Yeah.
When he's near.
Hot.
He's hot. One of my craziest dreams of the devil, I was like going through, I was in this like craftsman style mansion. It was very Los Angeles. And I'm going from room to room and there's so many people around. It's all like femmes and women and everybody's in like these glamorous outfits. And then I see these like giant wings in front of me and Satan's like, will you be my whore and my bride? And I was like, whoa, yeah, I'm not awake yet.
That's amazing.
But like, he's all about the fun times.
Right.
He won't tell you when enough's enough, though.
Yeah. You know what else is about enjoying yourself and finding your purpose and your power? Witchcraft.
And the two seem to be
Little friends.
intertwined.
Yeah. Although they're not exclusive.
They're not exclusive.
That energy. And what do they both have in common? They're both demonized by the church.
Weird.
Funny how that happens.
Coincidence? I think
not. Definitely not. And also, at the same time that the whole satanic panic thing was happening in the 70s and 80s was also the time that neo-pagans were reclaiming pre-Christian Celtic paganism. What we know today as modern witchcraft was also resurfacing. So I don't think that's a coinky-dink.
No, fighting against the waspiness of the US of A. I went down a fucking wormhole on satanic panic all the way to a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And
it's a lot.
It's a lot. And I think it's interesting because we do talk a lot about this nation and its foundational beliefs. And I do think it's so interesting how there's so much panic around Satan and his image in this country. It's identical to Christianity's panic around it. And it's fucking nuts. It's still happening, the satanic panic, all the way to the most recent thing was Pizzagate, where there was this conspiracy that there was a satanic cult. That is QAnon shit.
The podcast I listened to did mention that too, how how it's sort of, these things are being seen today in the QAnon fucking movement or whatever.
And it's everybody's flooding this pizza shop, this mom and pop pizza shop in Florida, but very American.
It's sort of the demonization of weird shit.
Yes.
Heavy metal music. It's real bad.
Must
all
be
the fun
evil.
things. But you know what? This goes back to the founding of this country.
Yeah.
Well, the colonization of this country and the stealing of this country.
Yeah.
With fucking Puritans. Can we talk about Puritans for a sec? Puritans.
They were literally exiled from Europe for being too hardcore.
And they were like, fuck it, let's go. They don't want to have any fun. No. They even said, fuck Christmas. We're not even, that's too much.
No dancing.
No holidays that have, what did Cotton fucking Mather say? Okay, Cotton Mather is a Puritan, the dude in the witch trials, you hear Cotton Mather a lot. And he, in Massachusetts, I think he said something along the lines of, I gotta fucking find it because it's so good. It's so good. And I was like, what? Okay, Cotton Mather said, any holiday ending in mass was popish and thus laden with pagan baggage.
Catholics do love pagan shit. It is popish.
And I'm down for that.
Catholics love stealing pagan rituals.
Yeah. But the Puritans, they just didn't want to have any fun. And they were obsessed with death. And although they allowed spectral evidence into their courts, okay. Yeah, let's not have any fun, but let's allow a 12-year-old to be like, I saw her and she was floating and then her familiar tried to eat me. Seriously? It's just weird. I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense if you don't. But they were obsessed in fear. They were fucking scared. Scared. And so that caused a lot of problems, as we'll get into. We do a witch trials episode, I think.
Well, even when you think about the progression of it, in the 50s and 60s with the dawn of rock and roll, which is black music and R&B, and a lot of those songs were about the crossroads and spirits and the devil.
See you at the crossroads.
Yes.
See you at the crossroads. I love Bone Thugs.
That's where Satanic Panic continued.
You don't get lonely.
We will do a karaoke night.
I'm gonna miss everybody. I loved that music video so much. I like Bone Thugs. My husband does not like Bone Thugs. Mike hates Bone Thugs, but I really like
his eyes.
them. I was very into it in the 3rd grade, okay? But yes, that is Black music, and let's just demonize Black people more. Why don't we just do that?
Because that's the foundation of the nation.
That's where we came from.
Isn't it interesting how it's intertwined with the
things,
satanic?
Yeah, I mean,
panic.
we're getting into other topics, but we have to, because it's just this blanket fear that's thrown on. It was thrown on me, and I didn't even go to church. That's how strong and ingrained it is in the world, or this,
in American culture.
In American culture. So, Satan. It's just for me, it's just been such a weird topic, because I was always like, wait, is the devil real? I don't think so. And then when I got into witchcraft and started listening to those neo-pagan people that were discovering it and rediscovering it and writing books about it, and sort of, which is anyone our age would know about, that's been practicing since they were kids, like, that sort of went away when I realized those people told me, no, the devil's not here for you, for us, for what we believe. Like, and I was like, oh, okay. So
one time I channeled a message from the spirits, and it said something along the lines of that, like, Lucifer is a construct of Christianity that assists in the demonization of all things that are pleasurable and of the flesh. And the truth is that if enough people believe in a thing, then that collective belief, that energy, creates a spirit. And so I do believe that, I think a lot, I keep coming back to, like, white Jesus.
White Jesus.
White Jesus. But, like, in my mind, I'm like, white Jesus isn't real.
No.
Like, Yeshua was a brown Jew. Pretty cool guy who hung out with lepers and prostitutes and poor folks, and like that was the jam, and is nothing
Helping
like
people.
Yes, looked nothing
I like
like
it.
acts nothing like who we see all over churches in the United States of America. But this other version of Jesus has become their own entity, has become their own energy, because so many people in their little fucking prayer circles
pray, and that's powerful.
Exactly.
We cannot deny the power of Christianity.
Exactly.
That's what makes it so scary.
They've like monopolized that.
Oh, gosh.
Like really figured it out.
Truly figured that shit out.
That's why it continues to like destroy,
just decimate everything in its path, and create offshoots of more extremists. And
It's weird.
who are the Puritans of today?
I don't know. I don't know.
I did have some friends I went to school with in elementary school that were Jehovah's Witnesses.
They're pretty hardcore.
And they don't like the
That's a
birthdays and the
cult.
parties and stuff.
That one's a cult.
I'd be like, oh, isn't today your birthday? They're like, no, I don't celebrate it. I'm like, they were super nice. I was just like, why? It's like annoying. Like, present. Like 3rd grade. But I remember that they didn't celebrate birthdays, and I was like, that's a very Puritan.
Catholics are like
Puritans.
super into rituals and holidays.
Yeah.
Literally like cannibalism every Sunday.
I love a good Catholic church moment.
All the good statues.
All the good art, all the good
art.
statues. You get to eat
Literal
a snack.
bones.
Literal bones, incense, robes, costuming,
Candles. It smells good.
Yeah, it tracked why I was like way more comfortable in a Catholic church. It's like, this is cool.
Still horrible. Don't get me wrong.
Still bad.
But the aesthetic, excellent.
Excellent. A+.
Really primed me to be a witch.
Right, true. And made me feel kind of nice when I was there. So, why not?
All of it felt familiar
It's very pretty.
because of what we learned in the Catholic Church.
I bet.
Yeah. Literally, like the wheel of the year
yeah.
is the liturgical calendar is just the witch's wheel of the year. It's pretty funny. I have to look at my notes really quickly because, okay.
Yeah, me too. Let's do a note check. There's so much.
The Temple of Satan, cool, radical, love them, good for them.
I'm a member.
Me too.
Just join the reading.
Yeah, I became a member after I watched that documentary that came out a few years ago. But then when I was in my like wormhole of research, I discovered this other thing that started in the 70s, which was right around the time that Satanic Panic was getting hot. And it's called Luciferianism. And Luciferianism, I read The Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Luciferianism by Michael Ford. And what I got from it is that Luciferianism is basically like macho, dude bro, possibly a little incel-ish, their version of the law of attraction.
Wait, what?
It's basically like bootstraps. You're only responsible for yourself. You're not responsible for anyone else on earth. You create your own reality. If your life is hard, it's because you fucked up so bad and you're stuck there. There's like no...
Am I a Luciferian?
I don't think so. Because
I'm real
there's
hard on
no...
myself sometimes. I'm like, wait,
I think that's being human.
check.
But like basically it's your fault for not trying hard enough. It does not take any intersectionality, marginalization, systemic oppression into account. I give them a 0 out of 10.
0 out of 10.
For being shitty representations of what... That is not what Lucifer is all about, okay?
No.
Lucifer is about personal liberation, yes, but Lucifer is also a part of the greater story of creation and understands that like, okay, if Satan is the serpent, like they gave us the greatest gift of all, which is awareness.
Yeah.
By giving us the apple.
Thank you.
Self-awareness, awareness of the world around us, awareness that there's also suffering as much as there's joy. They gave us the anti-love and light. And I think that's fucking important.
It is.
So fuck Luciferianism is what I have to say to that.
Fuck you.
But I love the Satanic Temple.
That just sounds like dudes being assholes.
It is. It's dudes being assholes.
And saying they're religious.
Yeah.
in some
And they're
way.
like, Satan looks cool. That's so metal.
Yeah. They don't have any foundation. Taking it back to the emperor.
Taking it back to the emperor.
Because like you said, the devil will not tell you when to stop. So the devil's probably looking at those dudes like, all right, fuck you, but okay. All right, what am I going to do?
I'm going to put my name on that.
What am I
I
gonna
can't
do?
stop you.
I'm not supposed, okay.
Literally not my job.
Okay, literally not my fucking problem, but fuck you also. Dear diary.
Seems
fuck
like you
these
misunderstood.
Guys. They don't like them, but they have, I can't really do
Imagine in
anything
his like
about
leather-bound journal at his mahogany desk.
it. Yeah, it's like, well, I don't really care, but
You know what else is interesting? Okay.
What?
So the serpent precedes the falling of the angels. So it's likely that it's not Lucifer or Samael, who's another fallen angel that's sometimes associated with Lucifer.
hot.
And if you get really into the creation story, at the end of each day, except for one, God says, and it was good.
Like a good day.
Just it was good.
Oh.
The things he created.
Oh. And it was good.
The process of creation. Also, we'll get into on another. I'll get there. He does not say this at the end of the second day, because it was on this day he created Gehenna, or hell, the flames of hell,
No fun.
because the wicked are punished and then purified by it. So it's not an eternal hellfire where you are stuck forever, but rather an extreme process of purification by
purgatory.
fire. And like John the Baptist says that Christ is going to baptize you in fire. So it feels more like a process of like, this soul's real fucked up. It's
Yeah.
going to take more than water to fix this. So this means that God, your sky daddy, created evil and is the cause of it. The cause of all evil.
Yeah.
Not Satan. Satan is his fucking lackey.
Yeah.
He was the angel assigned to carry out the duties. Maybe.
Maybe.
The morning star.
He went to get the wine from the cellar.
He went to get the wine from the cellar, and God's left him down there.
This is very like Dionysus. Now we're getting into,
Who
again is
all about the pleasures.
It's the Greek mythology's Satan.
And he's fucking fine, but he's not going to tell you when to stop drinking.
No, again, just absolutely fucking not.
And also, okay, the satyrs are spirits of Dionysus who are also part of the like mythos that created this like horned image of
horned
Satan.
Image.
Very interesting.
I don't like the horned animals. It's very rude.
Oh, okay. And I love this
They're
line.
very cute.
They're so cute.
Goats are cute.
And
What
they
is wrong
get
with
shit
you?
done. Like, they're all about like, let's fuck
Goats are
this
like,
up.
let's really try.
Yeah, nothing can stop me.
Yeah.
Have you seen them climb very narrow?
They can live on peaks.
It's wild. It's
They
incredible.
live on It's scary
It's terrifying.
because I'm afraid of heights. But these goats, like, they climb like fucking like upside down and shit. They live on little peaks, like.
They can do like shit that seems impossible. And like, I want to channel that energy sometimes.
Anti-gravity.
I need that to help me get through stuff that feels really hard.
Yeah.
Right?
But no, because that would mean you had power of your own.
Boom.
So, sorry, you can't like those animals.
Right.
Sorry, Capricorns, you fucking Satanist pieces of shit. Sorry, Aries. Everyone else is fine, I think. Taurus, no, fuck you too. So,
A horned cow. They're so floofy. Oh, okay. And then my favorite line comes from Isaiah. And this is where Lucifer begins to become associated with the morning star.
what's the morning star?
The morning star is
besides
Venus.
a great vegan brand of meat, or fake meat.
That's right. I forgot about that.
That's literally what I think of.
LOL. So the morning star is Venus. And the morning star is present in many different pre-conquest astrological like cultures, systems, sciences. Many Christians believe the devil was once a beautiful angel named Lucifer. Everyone calls him beautiful because he fucking is. Who defied God and fell from grace. The assumption that he has fallen is often based on the book of Isaiah, and I believe it's Isaiah 14:12. And we use KJV because that's our favorite.
There we go.
No
idea what that means at
King
all.
James kissed boys. That's why we use King James Bible, because he's fucking gay and we love it.
Okay, we like the king. Okay.
We love it.
I like it now too.
Anything that like pisses Christians off, I'm all about it.
What? So wait, what?
Extremely queer.
If it's a Bible, what do the Christians only like a certain Bible?
Okay, so
You're like, this is a bigger conversation, Laura.
most practitioners who utilize the Bible in some sort of magical practice,
Right.
aside from what's church sanctioned, use the King James Version. But the Bible has been reinterpreted over and over and over again so that the men who are in charge of whatever particular sect of Christianity you are a part of can oppress you even harder.
Right.
So they just fucking change words.
So that's why they say sometimes, like, it's in the Bible. And then there's people arguing, it's in the Bible. No, it's not, but it's in this version.
And they change the order. And
And these are men, human men doing this.
It's all dudes.
How do they think that they have the authority to do that?
Because men have the fucking audacity. They were born with it.
The audacity of men.
Adam, it all started with you.
I want the audacity of a man. Truly don't have it.
Me too. I would,
Like, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry all the time.
So
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. Sorry.
How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? That comes from Isaiah 14:12. And that's how Christians begin to associate Lucifer with the morning star. And you often hear him called Lucifer Morningstar.
Yeah, I watched The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and I was like, Morning Star. And then I started thinking about vegan meat. And then I got sidetracked. And then I made a breakfast scramble. But the morning star so it's Venus.
Morning star is Venus.
Venus
the divine
is hot.
feminine.
Aphrodite's hot. Lucifer's also hot. So is that why?
The
'Cause he's
continued
hot?
demonization
feminine energies.
Feminine energies, of feminine bodies, of non-cis men's bodies, of the sexualization and sensualization, the like self-agency of that is demonized hand in hand with Lucifer.
Man.
I know, right?
Like that doesn't really, like there doesn't seem to be any sort of connection there other than like the beauty thing and the hot thing. Mm-hmm. The autonomical, I made up a word right now. Autonomical, sure, I like it. Way, the body, the hotness. What? I wonder if that has to do with sort of the saying a dude is hot. Did they not like that? Was that, do you know what I mean? Like saying a man is beautiful. Like men don't typically want to say that.
The ones that are like,
the ones that are, you know,
the ones that are like clenching their butts all the time.
They're like homophobic or, you know what I mean? I'm like, are they jelly that Lucifer was so hot and cool and like probably loved by all? You know what I'm saying? Like there's no, that's rude.
Interesting, right? Continued that demonization of the goddess.
Another thing that happened when I started learning about witchcraft, and even more recently too, and something you sort of mentioned, was when you began having a relationship to Lucifer, or kind of jumbling out your beliefs with the devil and that energy. I personally became less afraid because there's this big bad blanket of energy that's sort of like, particularly if you are brought up with it, I'm sure you get it harder. But also if you don't, and you're just, you kind of hear it around, it's like, well, this is not very clear to me. Do we believe in Satan? Is this happening? But there's not a lot of
there's not a lot of separation of church and culture here.
Culture, because I literally never went to church with my family ever. I went to like some crazy youth group stuff where they had snakes and they would be like, it was like, you know how they did that whole thing during like Satanic Panic shit. That's when that started too, was like they would have like the scary haunted houses that were like, you're gonna go. Did you ever hear about
Christian haunted house?
Christian haunted houses.
I never went to one.
Oh my God. It wasn't great. It was like a haunted house, but the scares were like hell. And like,
it's fucked up.
So
Catholics are kind of elitist when it comes to other sects of Christianity. They're like, we came first. We don't fuck around with that shit. So like, I just avoided.
And it's true. It sort of goes into Halloween too, and them trying to use these American traditions to assimilate more people.
Yeah.
Which So it's.
That's so funny.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, the fear kind of goes away for me, and I'm like, oh, and then I sorted out where evil is, and but then that also goes into when you realize, which a lot of people haven't, because there's still all this love and light shit. That's scary. That's a scary way to live. That's a scary way to live. To just be like love and light.
And usually the people like flexing love and light are also shitty. Like they're the people who are fucking rude to baristas and who don't fucking tip and who think the world revolves around them. And they're like, love and light.
And that's the way that they bandage over their own fucking shortcomings.
And avoid accountability. They're like, oh, you're low vibrational. Don't bring that around me. You're low vibrational.
But that's scary because that means that they are fearful of dark and darker, you know what I mean? Like the energy that is dark, they're like, that's, if I was I'm not afraid of that. It's fluid. So for me, imagining living like that, like if they actually, I don't think a lot of these people are actually very spiritual. I think they're just full of shit and they like the phrase love and light. But for people that are, it's kind of a Christian thing. That are very love and light only. And it's a very, I'm just saying like how frightening that must be to live that way. Because once you embrace like your fluidity and your dark and light and whatever that means to you, that's liberating as fuck. And that's another thing you said too, when you had a relationship with Lucifer and that you embraced that. And I'm down, you know what I mean? Like you said, the energy of Lucifer, the energy of the devil is real because there's so many people creating that figure that it's real. It's real, it exists, and to tap into that. And energy and spirit is such a weird fucking thing, and we love to talk about on this podcast because it's not cut and dry. And it's so different for everybody. So to have different experiences with Lucifer or the devil energy and Satan energy, and to embrace that wave and that journey is like so fucking liberating. To a witch, to someone who never went to church, you know, like that, to just catch waves of that is kind of like really fucking fun.
I think you hit the nail on the head with like love and light is just puritanical Christianity
you've said this
repackaged.
Before. You've said this before too.
For like the new gen.
It is.
Of bitches who want to fuck around.
Who want to fuck around and have crystals and, you know,
It is.
And that's the difference.
And then you live in constant fear and you're just like gaslighting yourself and everyone around you.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like when you embrace the darkness, you stop being so afraid.
And that doesn't mean that you live your life in the darkness. That doesn't mean that it's only
the sun goes down every night, though, my friends.
Yes, the sun goes down and the moon comes up, you know, and
it's a natural cycle.
It's a cycle to fluctuate, and to think that you need to exist on one plane only is a fucking lie, and not going to get you anywhere, I don't think.
And when you think about like pre-Christian spiritualities across the globe, the underworld deities are not demonized.
No.
They just do different things than the sun. They have different jobs. They help us to explore different parts of ourselves. Whether it is like Xochitl is the evening star in Nahuatl, in ancient Mesoamerican culture. And then you have like Persephone in Hades in Greek pantheon. And they're not evil. They just help you.
They have a different job.
Or like Inanna and Ishtar. Like that's another, what is it? Queens of descent, I like to call them. The high femmes that journey into the underworld to become themselves, to become adults, to become fully embodied, full of their own agency, exercising their free will with power and authority. They have to go into the darkness and into the night. Hecate, a crossroads spirit, the horn of the crescent moon.
I have it tattooed on my ankle.
I have a triple moon here.
Artemis.
Artemis, yes. Absolutely.
Another horned goddess. Sometimes horns aren't obvious. Mercury.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
A horned symbol.
That's so, I didn't even
fucking put that together until right now.
Because he's got little wingies on his head, but I like this. Or on his sandals, depends.
Yeah.
I do love that The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
So good.
I love the aesthetic. I love the red, the black, the lipstick, the vibes. I do think that their portrayal of the devil is like a jealous god.
Yeah.
Who's domineering and oppressive sounds more like the Christian god.
But boy, is that show ballsy.
But it's fucking fun.
It's not perfect, but
I mean, a good time.
The pagans were like evil, and they made them all plant evil. And I thought that was funny.
I thought it was fun. I'm here for witch culture, even if it's incorrect.
I think it's hilarious.
I also loved the witch.
Oh,
did you see that?
The witch?
Yeah.
Oh,
Dost thou wish to live deliciously?
And look, I'm team Black Phillip all day because
absolutely, he liberates her.
I watched that movie and I was just like, yes, stab the dad in the stomach with your horns. Spoiler alert. I was like, fuck that guy.
It's that
Puritan vibes.
I love that good for her genre of horror.
Yeah, and then the end is like,
I know. Yes. Oh my God. If you haven't watched it and you're into witches.
The Witch is great.
The Witch is great.
The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina is very fun, and they say Satan a lot.
It's so entertaining.
The witches do worship Satan in that show. So they say, hail Satan. Oh, bless Satan. Oh, goodness.
Praise Satan.
Praise Satan. So just to hear a show, and then they had the episode where,
and then Lilith
nuggets.
comes through.
Lilith.
I love Lilith.
And
love Lilith.
there was the episode where they killed the church people. What was that about? They were hunting. It was like a witch hunting like a story arc. And it was so good. They got like mad revenge, and it was very cool.
It was delicious.
It's a very like ballsy show it would drive Christians crazy.
Absolutely. I'm surprised they didn't get it taken off TV immediately.
Truly. I was like, oh shit, they're actually saying this.
It's a really fun ride. 10 out of 10. Like, it's not perfect by any means, but no show or movie is, but it is a fucking fun time if you're into witch culture.
Yeah. That's a really fun one.
It was a good one. And a lot of glamour magic too, I think. Lots of good fashion.
Yeah.
It's delicious. Very, I don't want to say Luciferian, but very of the Morningstar.
Of the Morningstar, yeah. Vibey.
Is it time for spirit candy?
Spirit candy.
Spirit candy.
Spirit candy.
Channeled messages from our spirit guides. My spirit candy comes from my beloved guide, Ava. And Ava says, if the Creator brings you a moment of bliss, sweetness, or ecstasy, and you feel tempted to shy away from this moment because, like all things, you know it is fleeting, we implore you to instead consider the impermanence of this blessing to be a part of the pleasure within it. I think that's kind of fun. And also very like
That tracks.
devilish, devil cardish.
That does track for this. What do I have? Is that it? Do you have
Yeah.
more? Sometimes they're long. I'm not sure.
This was a shorty.
Okay. I did a little automatic writing yesterday, and this is what happened. This is what came out. Dread in the mind is a waste. Remember the joy and the feeling. It's a similar, dreading Satan, dreading that is a waste. Like dreading an evil that was conjured by somebody else is a waste. Remember the joy and the feeling, not the love and light, the feeling. That doesn't mean it's a love and light feeling. That means it's feeling, because we're human and we feel a lot of different emotions, right? And different things. So remember that you feel and that you're human, and that is okay and that is welcomed.
It's part of the point. The full range of feels.
If I can't be a snail, gonna have to be a human. Okay.
With the full range of emotions.
If I can't be what are they, orthopods or something? Gastropods?
An amoeba.
An amoeba. I can't be a dolphin. Although dolphins feel a lot of things.
Dolphins are kind of wild.
I kind of don't want to be a dolphin.
I don't want to be a
I don't
dolphin.
want to be in the ocean.
They're a little aggro.
Firefly. Let's have a lifespan of like a week
I like
or
that.
something.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do that.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Fleeting,
Bleeding.
but pleasurable.
Pleasurable. Kind of like this podcast. Fleeting but pleasurable.
Absolutely. A little more soul.
Should we take some questions?
We did get some questions. Let me pull up.
Okay.
Someone asked, why is Satan so cool? Because he's hot.
I think that was my question. Whoa, Fox.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Because he's a babe.
Love and light, Fox. Love and light.
Okay. Is the devil really a villain or just misunderstood? I feel like we kind of covered that. The devil's not the villain. People are, if they want to be and they choose to be. I like this one. How dangerous is it to work with the Fae? Everyone's out here so fucking afraid of the devil.
I totally forgot to talk about this.
And then
Go
fucking
on.
around with the Fae. You start, because you've got things to say. Yes.
So in Scotland and Ireland, in Celtic mythology, Germanic, there are a fuck ton of Fae spirits, energies that are, you know how I mentioned earlier how the devil sort of permeated my culture, even though I wasn't religious. the Fae permeates that culture, Scottish, Irish, Germanic cultures. Like, everyone knows about Fae and fairy folk. And historically, I was reading this book called The Black Book of Isabel Gowdy, who was a witch. It's basically a retelling of a witch trial. It's basically the transcripts from her interrogation. And I mention this because back then, the Fae were interchanged with the term devil. So the Fae and the devil went hand in hand. The Fae sometimes were called devils or the devil.
Because they are little devils.
Because they are little devils. So, and not in a Christian devil sense. This is in an energetic sense. And
like a tricky.
it wasn't like the devil, the doom and gloom devil. It was like the devil that's gonna like trip you or something. like little scamp. So that's just something I wanted to throw out there. In those cultures, that's very
I didn't know
ingrained.
that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a thing.
I didn't know that.
And I figured that out
Language
because,
is weird and
yeah,
amazing.
and it's just like a term, and sometimes words are taken and changed and used for different things in different cultures. And because this book it's actually really interesting, and it's very graphic because, I mean, spoiler alert, our ancestors did crazy shit, but this person was being interrogated. So, you know, she said things like, oh yeah, like, I became a witch by meeting with the devil near the shore, because sea witchery is big in those cultures as well. And between the tide line and the tide line and the water breach line, in that shadow is where we meet the devil. And then they fucking like, she like puts her head on her hand and grabs her foot and then hops up and down and says some shit. And then the devil comes and then you're a witch. And I thought that was fucking cool. But they also used the devil a lot. And I was like, the devil? And then they explained that Fae is interchanged with the devil. So, and then it was like, one, is this person fucking with this interrogator?
Totally possible.
Totally possible.
Because she knew she was fucked. So, like, why not?
I would do that.
Me
Be
too.
Like, yeah, I mean,
I would make it a fucking show.
and there's no way of really knowing and things like that.
Bless you, Isabel.
Anyway, I just wanted to mention that about the Fae and Scottish, Irish.
That's
Celtic
interesting.
cultures.
One of my mentors once said that the Fae are the justice system of our planet, our Mother Earth. And I kind of wonder if that's where some of our reasonable fear around the Fae in those earlier years comes from. I don't think so much fear, but like a reverence and a knowing, kind of like how we love the ocean, but we also like have I know that
the power
is
of
much
that.
bigger than me. So I'm not going to go too far in. I'm not going to fucking tempt fate.
Yeah.
I think it's that same type of respect, pre-Christianity, that same type of respect and understanding about the Fae folk. And I wonder if their demonization comes from like humans fucking up, doing fucked up shit to the land and to people of the land, people who served the land that the Fae appreciated for caring for and being stewards of the land. And then like Christians coming around and fucking shit up. And so like the Fae coming through and like saying you're out of line. This is not how we treat Mother Earth. And then like fucking up their lives for generations to come. But now we have people on like TikTok saying like anybody can hang out with the Fae, just build a fairy garden, it's totally fine. And it's like you need to have some sort of understanding that these aren't Tinkerbell, like these are literally ancient pre-human spirits,
Earth spirits
who do not give a fuck about you.
No,
they're here to protect the planet, and if you are a part of that agenda, they're like, cool.
I would say fuck going to Walmart and buying a $5.99 fairy garden. Like compost.
They would love that more.
Give them your garbage. They will love it.
Plant an actual garden of like native
Plant an
plants.
actual garden.
Of native plants to your local environment.
Although it is cool to like I do like buy things.
They're
like,
cute.
and put them in my garden.
Yeah. But you also have some sort of ancestral rooting
I'm
in that
over
type
that
of practice.
Shit. Oh yeah, that's why I was studying it, because it's like been so, I mean, I used to see them when I was little, you know, and or think I would see them, but I would see, I have a lot of fleeting memories
Back
about
to that foundation. Like that's what anchors you into it.
They came to me, okay?
Exactly. That's different.
They came to me. That I didn't go seeking that out, but you know.
Interesting. In one of my past lives, I was one of my ancestors, and I made a not so good deal with the Fae folk.
Oh yeah.
And it like fucked up my family line for like generations, and I had to do a bunch of like spiritual labor to repay and repent and to reconcile that energy.
Yeah.
So just be careful. What is a villain anyway, really?
Yeah, it's like it's like these whole, say something goes wrong. You want to blame it on something, right? You blame it on the Fae. Gremlins is another thing that's from Asian culture, and other cultures, but like Mogwai are like an actual spirit, like the movie Gremlins and thing. I did a little Gremlins studying up.
Yes.
We should probably do an episode about this.
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot, many different cultures of different spirits, but the scapegoating with like Fae is a thing, and it's like whether or not someone actually believes in it, they do it. So it's but then by blaming a thing and giving it a name, what are we doing?
Right.
We're creating it.
Right.
So
it's interesting. Like the Fae is the scapegoat. It's like, is it the Fae or did you fuck up? And the Fae are just rebalancing things.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's a very interesting.
Just be careful.
Just be careful. Don't. What was the question? I don't remember. Are Fae like little doo-doos or what?
Are Fae villains?
Oh.
Are they really evil? Are they dangerous to work with? Something like that. Is it dangerous to work with the Fae?
I would say you should be wary and very careful.
Be reverent.
I'm very fearful in a respectful way of earth spirits. I mean,
their job is to protect this planet. And if you're acting out of line with that job, like elementals are like, you just got here, humans. You just got here, and we will set you straight. And your future generations, your descendants.
Yeah, you don't want like vines coming through your house and them sucking your fucking soul away and shit. Like, I mean, making you sick or ill. You don't want that.
You don't want that. And honestly, like that's true with any spirit that you engage with. Like, spirits are so much bigger than us, and most of them are so much older than us. Like, don't just go into it blindly because you think it looks cool. Like, wait for them to call on you, and then like listen to what they have to say and be obedient.
Yeah.
Do your research.
I think, I mean, I think it is helpful when they come to you or when, like, I am here because I was called upon by the moon, particularly, and Fae. Honestly, those are the two probably biggest influences, and the ocean. So, and that's not to be like, oh, wow, Laura, you're so cool. Like, but I mean, some of us have those callings. And some of us don't, and need to work harder for it, and to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And need to cultivate those relationships and to seek them out. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And once you like start researching, I say this a lot, but once you start researching your ancestry,
Keyword ancestry.
you'll begin to realize who's calling you. Because as you learn more from not just mythology, but like Laura was talking about fairy tales and children's stories. These are all places where you can learn more about pre-Christian spirituality in your particular lineage, your ancestry. And when you start paying attention to the symbols and the stories, then you'll notice as you're moving through your daily life, exactly the synchronicities, the symbols of who is calling to you.
The clues that it'll be there. That's the fun part.
It is the fun part, but it starts with you like spending time researching, getting to know where you're from, who you are, and where you're from.
Someday we will be sponsored by Ancestry.com.
I can only hope,
23andMe.
because that's an expensive monthly subscription. Please sponsor us.
Please do. Honestly, that would be my pick.
Right?
Honestly, I mean, come on.
Come on.
They need to be marketing to witches here. It's not.
We would love to provide a discount code to witches.
Can you imagine?
Please.
It's just so perfect. I was going to say something, but I forgot. I'm just going to let it go.
We'll share it next episode.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a fun one.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Third Eye Bind.
Be sure to leave us a message on the Third Eye line. We'll see you next week. Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. You can follow the podcast at Third Eye Bind Pod on Instagram. There, submit your questions via the Third Eye line by sending us a voice message or text DM. The show is available wherever you listen to podcasts and for you to watch on YouTube. Get early access to episodes and even monthly one-on-one sessions with us by joining our Patreon. Find us at patreon.com/thirdeyebind. Third Eye Bind is produced and edited by Mike Realm. Hosted by Kaitlyn Grania and Laura Wong. Music by Mike Realm. Set design by Laura Wong. You can find Laura on Instagram at Lady Moon Co. And you can find Kaitlyn on Instagram at Spirit Garden Tarot.